Happy Homebrew Wednesday. I did make a video last week, but when I got done editing it and I looked at it, I just thought it just really wasn't worthy of uploading. It was really just kind of a breakdown on where I'm at on brewing right now. I basically have two batches in process right now, a chocolate sweet stout and an amber ale. I transferred the amber ale to the secondary this morning real early. It's about 7 o'clock here right now. But about 5 this morning I transferred that over to the secondary, and then I checked the chocolate sweet stout, but it's not ready. It's probably got another 3 or 4 days on it. So I'm always trying to optimize the use of the sanitizer, so I thought it might just be right. The amber ale had 8 days on it, and the chocolate sweet stout was at about 7, but I think that's going to drag out to around 10 or 11. That's typically been the way it is, but you know, I took a shot. So what we're going to do today is something completely different. This is a formula I came up with myself, and I'm hoping it works out okay, so don't run out and buy anything if you're wanting to replicate it until we see if it really turns out. It's going to be a honey Weiss, and I have the grains inside. It's about 45 degrees in here right now, so I'm not bringing anything out that's going to alter the temperature radically. I even have the mash tun inside because I didn't want to mess around with preheating and everything else. So once we get the Blickman brew stand, we get the hot liquor tank up to about 179, then I'll bring everything out and we'll go from there. And then, you know, a couple weeks down the road, we'll give it a shot and see how it turns out. Other than that, okay, let's get rolling. Right, while it's warming up, and it's going to take a while because I actually filled up the hot liquor tank last night, and so 45 degrees to 167 is going to take a little bit of time. But it's 30 degrees outside, so you come in from out there and it feels great in here, and this is really unseasonably cool for Texas. But I thought while we're waiting for that, I'd just go through the recipe, and I'll put the recipe at the front or the back of the video somewhere, so at least you have it if it turns out okay. It's 4 pounds of pale wheat, and it's 4 pounds of 2-row. And then once it comes to a boil, of course we're going to mash in, of course, at about 167 and leave it for an hour. And then once we get all the sparging done and we're in the brew kettle and we start the boil, then all we're going to put in is 1 ounce of cluster hops, and that'll go for the 60 minutes. And then when there's about a minute left on the boil, I'm going to add the 1 pound of honey. I didn't want to add it too early because I've heard from some of the research I've done online that that's just a bad idea. It gets rid of all the honey flavor in the beer. So and there's other people that really want to add it into just into the fermenter, but I'm thinking, man, that is a really thick product. And you know, let's say you drop into your fermenter at 70 degrees. I just don't think that that's going to be warm enough to really break it up. So with a minute left in the boil, or as I cut the boil, I'll drop it in, stir it. We'll start the chiller, and you know, all we can do is give it a try and see how it turns out. So that's pretty much it. As I said, I'll put the formula out there, and then you know, 4 weeks from now when we try it, or whenever it finishes, we'll see how well it turned out, and then if you guys choose to, you can go ahead and give it a try yourself. So anyway, next up, mash in. We probably got another, I'm thinking I've got another 15 minutes before I get up to temp. That's it. All right, we're going to mash in. A little grain down there. Again, the main thing is to just make sure there's no dough balls. Now, I've never used wheat in any of my formulas before, and I've heard that sometimes you can get a stuck sparge, but we'll see. I didn't really notice that much difference, to tell you the truth, in the dimensions of the grain versus the 2-row, so I'm hoping not. I want to try and get this lid on as fast as I can because it's so cool in here. Just another little stir in here. there, and we should be good. All right, so that's it for mashing in. We'll be back in an hour, and we'll start to sparge. All right, we're gonna start the sparge process. So the first thing we're gonna do is just make sure we can get the liquid to run clear. And hopefully you can see this. Maybe you can't. Yeah, you should be able to see it. Okay, so right now I do have fluid coming in. And there is quite a bit of grain. So if you look, you can actually see it streaming down the side of the little bucket I have in here. So what we want to do is just get that to the point, and it's coming at a pretty good rate. I'm going to taper it off just a hair. And once we get that running clear, then we'll actually start the sparge. And then that usually takes, for me anyway, about an hour. It's a lot lighter colored than I guess I would have thought, but I guess that makes sense. It is a wheat beer, at least half of it's wheat, 4 pounds of two-row and 4 pounds of the pale wheat malt. So I usually find that the wort really clears up probably about when I get to the halfway mark on this little pail. But even now I'm seeing just, every once in a great while there's just a little coming out. So we're probably to the point where in a few minutes she'll be good to go. I'm going to just let that happen. So as soon as I get this looking a little bit clearer, we'll go ahead and start the sparge. And be back in a second. Okay, we've got the sparge going now, and the fluid that's, the wort that's coming in looks pretty clear. And again, we're just trying to match the flow between the sparge arm. Let's see if I can give you a shot from here. Probably not. So the sparge arm is running over the grains, and we have wort coming into the boil kettle at about the same rate. So this is about an hour process. And when we're done with that, then we'll go right into our boil and get things ready. So back in an hour. All right, sparge is completed. And we ended up with a 1.045 for our gravity reading, pre-boil gravity reading, which was spot on with Beersmith. So we'll see now, it should take maybe 10 minutes to get up to a boil, and then we'll throw our hops in, and we'll be on a 60-minute boil. And really that's all there is to this batch except for the pound of honey, which I'm going to throw in about a minute when there's about a minute left in the boil. So be back when there is a minute left. Well, I guess we'll be back when we throw the hops in. All right, I just dropped the 1 ounce of cluster hops in there, and you can see we've got a boil going here. And in 59 minutes, we will come back and put the 1 pound of honey in. I'm going to adjust this down just a little bit so I don't have a boil over. So at 59 minutes, we'll throw the pound of honey in, and we'll start the chiller. And the chiller will go in with about 20 minutes left in the boil. So we will be back when it's time to put the honey into the batch. All right, 1 minute left in the boil, and I've tried to preheat this honey as best I could. I'll tell you what, it is hard to get this in here with the wort chiller. But I'll do the best I can, and hopefully I just don't end up with a wort chiller that's got honey all over it. But boy, preheating it worked pretty good. Now, if you've seen some of my earlier videos where I'm actually using extract, I take the labels off and I actually dip the can in to get everything out. That was not possible in this case because I did get the label off, but the sticky glue that was on there just would not come off. So it is what it is. And, you know, hopefully, and I did sanitize it. So I soaked it in hot water to get the honey more fluid, and then I dipped it in sanitizer before I came over here. And I'm hoping this really does the trick, but we'll find out. So that's it. Now I'm going to cut the heat, and I am going to start the chiller. Okay, so what I'm doing, and you can hear the wind outside, it is very windy, 30-mile-an-hour winds. At, I'm guessing we're still in, you know, we're 31, 32 degrees. There's water coming from the pool pump in here, and then the water exiting, which is at, when it goes in, is actually at 47 degrees. So it drops the temperature of the wort quickly. Last time it took about 15-20 minutes, I think, to drop it down to about 76 degrees. So relatively quickly. So anyway, when this gets cooled down, I'll dump it into the fermentation pail, and we'll aerate it and pitch the yeast. All right, we're going to aerate the wort. I just went to a new tank, so I don't want to get crazy with opening it too fast. There we go. The gravity reading was a 1.054, and I think the reason it's a 1.054 versus the 1.051 is Beersmith doesn't really have anything in there about adding the honey during the boil. So my guess is that didn't get taken into the equation. So I believe that's why I have that reading. Okay, I'll seal this up. I'll pitch the yeast, and then I'm going to seal this up and put on the airlock. The yeast that I'm going to put in, I'm just going to sprinkle it in, is, see if I have it listed on here, it's a WB06. So let's give that a shot, and then I'll move it into the house, and we'll come back together for a few minutes. That's it for brewing the honey Weiss. Now, how it'll turn out is anyone's guess. So we'll just have to stand by and find out. It did have a good smell to it. I mean, it had a rather citrusy, honey type smell in the fermenter. So we'll see. This is the light beer. Wow. I mean, this is one that if I could only brew one beer, this would be it. It's so clean. It's just great. So next time, I thought I have some things I need to break down around here and clean. So other than getting together and seeing where we're at on all these different batches that are coming through, maybe we'll take a minute to just talk about sanitation. And I'm sure my way is maybe not your way. Some people say I'm a little anal when it comes to cleaning things. I don't know, maybe I am. I know certain things probably don't need to be sanitized, but I usually do it anyway just to know that I've done a thorough job. So anyway, so we've got the chocolate stout still needs to go in the secondary. I have amber ale in the secondary. I have this batch now in the fermenter, and we'll see how long it takes. I've heard honey batches might ferment a lot longer than a regular batch just because of the extra sugar that's in there. So we'll see, and that was clover honey that I put in. I just got it at Walmart, and you know, we'll see how it turns out. So until next time, I hope you guys have a great homebrew Wednesday, a great week. Cheers. This has been a Matty Boy presentation. Say bye-bye, Matty.
Bye-bye.